Who you got? Does it make your list? Which one of these is your favorite? Dead or alive? Take your pick. It's your choice, just don't bootlick. Tell us what you want in your top 5, and we gotta know the reason. Let's take a deep dive. If you the same as mine, I'll be your number one supporter. Now relax and enjoy the podcast. It's No Order. Okay, welcome everybody. We are the No Order Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got our man Bear in the studio and your boy D.O.A here in the studio with the True Hogs Club. Today we got a special guest in the house, but we wanted to just give a special shout out to the guests that we had prior. If you want, go check out that new No Order podcast at KnowOrder podcast at gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream your podcast, you can find us. What's going on, Bear? How you feeling today?
What's happening, Doe? Oh, just chilling on this Cinco de Mayo. Just had some good tacos down here in Oakland.
Sounds fire, bro. We got to hit you with the top 5 taco spots here in the near future for sure. Happy Cinco de Mayo, bro.
I would definitely be good podcast for a taco spot in the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, I know everyone's feeling to hear that one for sure. And then we're gonna have a lot of arguments on that one, I'm sure.
Definitely a lot of arguments.
Well, happy Cinco de Mayo, bro, to you too as well. We got a special guest here in the studio. Actually, we're gonna have him on the line here today. We got our boy Drew in the house, and he's gonna go over his top 5 dead or alive on the No Order Podcast horror movies. He loves the scary movies. He loves the horror movies. Do you like those, or what? How you feel about those?
I'm definitely not a fan. I like to sleep at night, but some of these don't really scare me. But I can't sit there and say I'm a true horror fan. Right. But some of them are pretty dope, I gotta admit.
Yeah, I do find a lot that it's either you really love them or you're really indifferent about them. Sometimes it's hard to find that in between. I think that some you find kind of phony, or if there's too much gore or blood.
You gotta love the classics.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's what you grew up as a kid. Like, oh man, this scared me. But then you see it as an adult and you're like,
yeah,
what the fuck was I scared of?
Yeah, it changes up on you real quick. Yeah, after the years, some of these movies, the years haven't been too kind with them with all the new CGI and stuff like that. But I do love the kind of slasher films, old gory stuff. And
those are
let's see if Drew has some of the same ones on his list that might be on yours. Drew, you on the line?
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on?
What's happening, Drew?
Not much, just hanging in there.
Right on. Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. Time. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Man. This is awesome. Awesome opportunities. My first time being on a podcast.
Great. Welcome to the No Order Podcast. You got Bear and D.O.A in the building, and we got Drew on the line. He's going to give us the rundown of his top horror movies, top 5 dead or alive horror movies here on the No Order Podcast with Bear and D.O.A. Do you have a top order? What you got for us?
All right. So right off the bat, everybody who knows me knows that I love Chucky. Child's Play 1. The original right off the bat is the best on my list, and I fell in love with that character ever since I was a little kid, probably 4 years old. And I would say just the original 3 are actually good. If any of you guys haven't seen, I would recommend the first 3. And second on my list, growing up as a young kid too, watching it right away, I would say Michael Myers, Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, classics. Both classics.
Yeah, I'm big with Halloween. So I got to say those 2, and then on number 3 would be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Specifically the 2002, I believe that was the year, version with what's her name from Seventh Heaven? That was in that movie. Can't remember her name.
Biel? Is that Biel?
Yes, I think so.
Jessica Biel.
Yes, thank you. And that one was really
can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Yeah. I think I remember seeing that one in the theaters. That one was pretty good. Very gory. So those are all good top ones. Leatherface there with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming in your top 3. Child's Play with Chucky. I have seen the first 3. I think, was it number 2 or 3? That was with the wife killed. She turned into the the
No, that's like
doll also?
Chucky's Bride, right? That's
Bride of
like,
Chucky? I thought that was number 3. Is that not it?
That's pretty much number 4.
Oh, number 4. My bad.
That's all good. It's based off number 3 because at the end he's at the carnival and he goes into
Drew.
a van on one of the attractions and gets chopped up and then his former how do you say that one of his past girlfriends like finds him and recovers his body parts and stitches them up. So that's where they got that look.
I think we got Bear on here for a question for you. What you got for him, Bear?
Hey, Drew, I have a question for you. You know, watching Child's Play as a kid, how you were like, man, this shit's pretty crazy how this little doll's, possessed and going crazy. And then watching it as an adult, you got to see the humor in it, right? Is it not more of a comedy than a horror movie then now? As an adult. As a kid, I understand. Yeah, that shit was pretty scary. But as an adult, the way he talks and the way he acts is just like pure
how
comedy.
Cheesy could it be? Yeah,
like pure comedy to me. Like when I watch it nowadays, I'm like,
hey, don't hate on the man's top.
No, I'm not. I'm asking him for how does he feel about that?
What do you think? What do you think, Drew?
Good question. No, that's a good question. I never thought of that. The thing is, you understand it as an adult, but when you're a kid, it's very interesting, especially when you see a doll that's alive. That's like a lot of kids that came to my house, seeing my collection, my dolls, my Chucky collection, and they were like, does it come alive? That's how I felt about it. I thought it was real, so I would be scared watching it when I was a kid, and I would have to sleep sometimes in my parents' room.
Yeah, but as an adult, you kind of see it more of a different view, right? Hey,
those deep memories, they can stick with you, man. It's like a certain situation, it might come back around full circle on you.
No, yeah, I still see it. How do you say it? I really like that movie. It's just, I would say the humor were probably came later on towards like the later films, but
I see. Yeah, usually as they go past 3, 4, 5, they start to really get played out.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say number 1 was really solid. I wouldn't say that there's not much humor in that movie. But I understand Bear's question.
Great.
Like it is kind of funny that like the boy is talking to him and the mom's on the other side of the door trying to listen and there's like little things like that. That's kind of silly when you're an adult. You're like, man, how is this scary? You're like, I kind of understand that, but it's just, I guess I got really hooked on it like as a kid, and it stuck to me.
No, I definitely hear you in that, but like me watching horror movies, with my child, and she telling me like, hey, you thought this was scary as a kid, and I'm like, it was pretty scary, and she's like, it's kind of comedy to me because he's cussing. He's, the way he presents stuff. And it was just kind of like, I never really looked at it until.
Bear, did you show your daughter the movies when she was kind of a little bit older? I don't know how old Andrew was or Drew was when he.
I would say my daughter was about 11 when she started watching scary movies.
Still fairly young then at the time.
I would say, about a couple years now, she's really been into horror movies. She really likes them. That's all she kind of watches. So that's why I kind of like Drew.
Right.
Drew has definitely a good top 3 so far. I haven't heard his last 2, so let's hear your last 2 real quick.
Let's hear your last 2. We got the breakdown of the top 3 so far. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Child's Play, and Halloween, not in that order.
Heck yeah. So before I get to those last 2, I was going to mention a really quick, funny little story. So I used to go to Blockbuster when I was a kid, and I always was attached to the horror selection, and I would always creep up slowly just to peek at the covers, behind the covers of like the movies.
Dude, Blockbuster brings back so much memories.
Rent a movie on the weekend.
Friday night, you go in there, get a movie, a video game, your candy,
some candy for sure.
Definitely go home.
Yeah.
Forget to return it, collect those late fees. Wasn't going to me though. Right on. So what do you got at number 4, Drew, on the No Order podcast? Who do you got?
Number 4, I got a special movie. I don't know if a lot of people have heard of it, but it's called As Above, So Below.
That's a more recent movie, right?
Yeah, it's more like 2000, I don't know, 12 or maybe higher. I'm not too sure, or earlier, but it's in the 2000s. But
nice.
Okay. I don't think I've heard of that one yet. So what was that one about?
Yeah, tell us about that one.
So that movie is about like the catacombs in like what is it? Europe or whatever, and these not scientists, archaeologists or so, they go into the catacombs and eventually it's a very scary movie, but like they eventually find the gateway to hell, and they get trapped there, and it's crazy from there. It starts getting really freaky, and it's pretty dark. But
I haven't seen that one. I do gotta check that one out. It looks like it came out in 2014. As above, so below.
It's very, very good movie. I would have to say actually that one could be on. That could be like number 2 now, because I've rewatched the actually, you know what? I wouldn't change it. What I first did, like Chucky and Halloween, but since this is a newer movie, I rewatched it a lot of times because it's just that good. It's just like how I watched those movies in the past a bunch of times. But and I still do watch them once in a while. But number 5 would be Terrifier. I don't know if you guys know that one with that creepy clown. It's kind of like a low budget film, but it's pretty badass.
Is it better than it?
Is it better than it? I was gonna ask the same thing. Sounds like those clown movies.
Yeah, I wouldn't say better than. You know, that's a hard one because it's like a low budget film and everything. You could tell just by the
came out in 2016. Terrifier came out in 2016. Looks like it has Damien Leone as the director and David Howard, Jenna Cannell, and Samantha Scafidi, among others, in that movie. What's that one about? Terrifier.
So that one's a little kind of different. I wouldn't want to ruin it for people, but
yeah, well, no spoilers here on this one. Not for a different different
it's basically
podcast.
Like
I guess.
A clown. So the clown's basically like Charlie Chaplin. Doesn't talk or nothing, and it kind of just starts off like that right off the bat. They're like,
oh, that's already scary as fuck right there.
All right, we're not going to go any further than on that one, but yeah, we got your top 5 here, Drew. So we had As Above, So Below, recent as the number 4, Terrifier number 5, and then in the top 3 was Child's Play, Halloween, and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre for 1, 2, and 3, respectively.
Yep.
That's a solid list right there, Drew. I like your little upbringing and how you added a couple of new movies, not from your childhood.
Right on.
To your list, and you know, I mean, you really put that broad spectrum on it because nowadays they make a lot of scary movies, and it's just crazy that it's still the classics got to be brought up though.
Yeah, no, you can't go wrong with those. Those are originals, and that's why even if a lot of people have watched those movies millions of times or are tired of them, I'm still gonna be true to my movies and stick to them because
that's what's up.
That's the way to stay true to your top list, even though some might not stand the test of time. With a new CGI and just how things are shot, better cameras, they can change, but overall those stories tend to stay true to what they originally were. And those classics, of course, as movies started to get more and more popular, going to the theaters, renting from Blockbuster like you used to do on that Friday night, like we all used to do on the Friday night. R.I.P. Blockbuster.
Now you're just scrolling through Netflix in the horror section, huh?
Yeah.
I heard there's some good streaming platforms for horror movies out there. So I don't think everyone should just hold themselves to Netflix. But if Netflix wants to sponsor us, give us a good deal, we'll definitely tell them to only go to Netflix.
No, for sure.
Well, we appreciate you coming on to the podcast here today. We appreciate having you on the No Order podcast here, Drew, with your top 5 horror movies. Thanks for coming on. We definitely appreciate your time today.
Thank you both. It was my pleasure. I really appreciate you guys having me on the show, on the podcast. And,
all right, my man. Yes. Thank you so much.
Good, solid conversation.
We'll have to do it again soon.
Heck yeah.
Take care.
All right, Joe. All right, Bear.
All right, man. You have a good one, Drew.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Drew. Peace. All right, everybody. That's it for this week's installment of the No Order Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at noorderpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a message. Let us know what you thought of the podcast, what your top 5 would be for that specific topic. And we want to say thanks so much for tuning in again. It's Bear and Doe on the No Order Podcast. What do you got for us here next week, Bear?
All right, maybe I got a comment already from somebody that was saying they want to do their top 5 celebrity tits.
Celebrity tits. That's just like the pair of knockers.
Pair of knockers they got in front of them. They want to say who the top 5 in their Rolodex.
Now, is what they seen or on a movie specifically, or just like leaked footage?
We're gonna have to ask them if these are just from movies, or did they see little celebrity sex tapes, or back in the day, if he brings up some old school Playboy models or something,
someone did a spread in the Playboy. Okay, well, if y'all want to hear that, let us know. KnowOrderPodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Peace.
People I don't know. Hold on tight, it's too hot to be